G'day all, just a quick video looking at the Lee case trimmer. We've got our case length gauge with the cutter already attached. They screw in, they just thread it on. And we have our shell holder that clamps the shell into place. Just looking at the use of it, you can use the tools manually. I'm using a piece of 308 brass here. They've already been full length sized and deprimed. You place it in the shell holder, just clamps on, screwed on into place. And you can use your case length gauge. I've got various ones for various calibers that I use, some of the larger ones. Today I've got a 308, so just double check that I'm using the 308 stamped onto the base of the case length gauge there. You can do it manually, just inserting into the case, twisting, and you see the brass being shaven off, cuts it to length. That's okay if you've got a few to do, but if you've got a lot to do, you can stick it in a drill. I've got a little bench drill here. It makes life a lot easier when you're doing a number of them. Now, if you read the Lee book, they recommend that you stick the shell holder into your drill, which would mean that you'd have to stop the drill each time, take the old piece of brass out, put a new piece of brass in. Well, I go the other way around. I put the case length gauge into the drill, snip that up tight, then I can have the drill on and not have to worry about stopping it to remove each piece of brass. So I hold the shell holder in my hand. And you need to be just a little bit careful because of course we're dealing with mechanical equipment. You can get injured, but this just speeds up the process, makes it a lot easier. So we just whack a piece of brass in, hold it in the hand, slide it carefully onto the drill, and it trims that to length. Now, once you've done your trimming, you'll see that it needs to be chamfered to take the sharp edges off. I've got a Lyman deburring tool. It deburs the inside and the outside. It's a little bit better than the Lee one. The Lee one works okay, but this is just a bit better quality and shaves them off really nice and quickly and easily. So that case is now ready to go. You can snap that off and throw it in the bucket. The beauty of having a bench mounted setup like this is you can just trim them all to length and then at a later date go back through and deburr them. That's what I tend to do. Sort of speeds up the process a lot. So I'll just give you a demo with a couple, just how quickly you can do it. It's only a couple of seconds each. You'll see that depending on the brass, some of them will require more brass to be shaven off than the other, but the beauty of the Lee case length gauge is that it cuts them all back to a consistent length. Really handy if you're using the in your die, you're using the crimping process to hold your bullet in place, because you can have them all crimped to exactly the same point. Gives you that little bit of consistency, good for accuracy. And if you're using the factory crimp die from Lee, it's not as critical, but of course the more consistent we can be with our reloading, the more accurate we're going to be, so it's handy for that. But especially if you're roll crimping. With roll crimping, it relies on you being very consistent with the length of the piece of brass. If one piece of brass is slightly longer than the other, you'll get a different crimp depending on how long it is. A longer piece of brass will crimp at an earlier part of the stroke as you go through the press. Alright, well that gives you an idea of what you're dealing with your case length gauge. It's really very simple, very easy to operate. Cheers!